Yeah, who's ready for Joshua Latimer? Yeah! So upcoming next is a man who's profoundly touched the lives of many, many, many people and will continue to do so. And I believe he'll echo on into history as one of the top leaders. I'm building you up, man. He's so humble, and I could see his face in the back. And here's a guy who built a business from flat, broke scratch with nothing. He was delivering pizzas, and he strapped a ladder to the top of like a 1990 Chevy Cavalier. And if you know, anybody know Joshua's story? Raise your hand. Okay, and those of you that don't, he went out and he built a business from nothing, and he struggled for a bit, and then he started to get the big aha, and he talks about pain and suffering a lot. Well, this guy actually started implementing the systems into his business that we all want to do, and built the business to $50, $100, $150, $180, and $200,000 a month in his window cleaning and soft washing, his exterior cleaning business. And the cool part is he got the business to autopilot, to automated. So, and I'm on the phone with him, I'm like, you what? You said you were only working 5 hours a week, and the business was doing this, and you had X amount, 20 team members, and you built in company bonuses for everybody, and you threw parties. I'm like, how the hell did you do all this? And to top that off, he has a wife, and how many children do you have now?
5.
5. And just had, so, I mean, here's a guy who's got his act together, and to a point that I really aspire to be like. I've called him on the phone on a Sunday night, and I feel very grateful for this, Josh. Maybe if I was going through a little bit of frustration in my business, like we all do, who here goes through frustrations and maybe stuck on a plateau, you want to grow? So, and he literally will, he has this gift and this ability to see right into where you're at, cut through all the bullshit, and get right down to the heart of the matter, to the point where you're kind of like in goosebumps, because now he's holding you accountable. That's somebody who really genuinely cares, and he's humble. And I can't, you know, it's funny. We'll be on the phone sometimes talking, and then he'll start coaching me. I'll be like, Josh, it's cool, we're friends. You don't have to coach me. And he literally can't help it. He wants to create value for people so much that he'll start coaching me. And I get off the phone, and I feel like I owe this dude something. And that's why I talk about him in my videos all the time. So he's helped me a ton in my business, tons of other people. He built the company, automated it, and sold it, moved his family to Costa Rica, and then started and launched another company called Send Gym. This is absolutely genius. So it's a website, and it's a mobile app that when you go, and he'll talk about it more, but I think it's so cool, to a customer's house and you serve their property, literally on autopilot, there's something called 5-arounds. It will send automated postcards for like a month straight to all the neighbors or the entire neighborhood to sign up for your services. So that's called Send Gym. And he also built an entire brand called Automate, Grow, Sell, where he teaches other entrepreneurs, whether they're solo guys, solo owner operators, all the way up to six-figure, multi-six-figure businesses, how to start paying attention to the data and metrics and analytics in their business, and to start to get into gear and think of the business in a way that, oh, what if I wanted to sell this thing? How can I grow it, automate it, and sell it? So I'm going to bring them up right now, and make sure you have, I know you guys are going to have a lot of questions too at the end. And without any further ado, a huge round of applause for Joshua Latimer. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Josh.
Thank you, buddy. Thanks, Keith. How the heck are you guys? You got some carbs in you. You got some cheese in you, a little sauce in you. Don't go to sleep. I think we're going to have fun, and we're going to immediately start with something funny. So I have a podcast, and I say a lot of quotes in my podcast. So anybody listen to the Quick Talk podcast? Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. The internet is a powerful thing. But I talk on there, and I try to be vulnerable, and I try to help and teach people. And one of the quotes that's my most favorite is, everyone sees the wine, but no one sees the crushing of the grapes. So Keith just said all this magical, mythical stuff that I did, really cool stuff. That is not the whole story at all. It's not even a small percentage of the story. Or if you go on to Facebook and you see all your business owner friends and they post their highlight reel, right? They post all the stuff they're doing, and I did this, and I closed this big job, and I did this amazing thing. And then you remember that your employee didn't show up, and the other guy got caught smoking weed inside the customer's house. And then you think that you suck and that you can't do it and that you're not capable. But it's not true. It's not true. I have the most humble beginnings ever. I didn't go to college. I always joke that I stopped by because technically I did for one semester at a community college. I don't have a Harvard MBA. There's no entrepreneurs in my family. And I had humble beginnings. So I want you to think about this. You see a DJ Carroll. He's generating millions of dollars and all this fancy stuff. That's the wine. The part that people miss is the crushing of the grapes, because you weren't there when my car got repossessed. You weren't there when my wife went to buy groceries at the grocery store with my newborn baby Maverick and her debit card got declined, right? You weren't there for that. And I'm not going to go on Facebook and just totally Debbie Downer it. So what we do is we post the highlight reels, right? $180,000 a month. This is like a good, funny video clip that's going to explain the story of my grapes. Let's listen to this. And there's no audio. It's okay. So this is me. I'm excited. I'm crushing some grapes. They're going to make some wine. And I'm excited. It's okay. We don't need it. No. And then this happens. That is my business story. Over and over and over. The main difference is that I kept getting up there. And if you want to YouTube this clip, the lady makes the most horrific sound when she hits the ground. She knocks the wind out of herself. She's going, ugh! This is my friends and family watching me as I try to do my business. And these people are on a live news feed with that lady was doing a news report and fell on live TV. And so they're going, oh, goodness. Oh, gosh. Okay. Well, hopefully she's okay, right? That's the story of my grapes, right? And you weren't there during the bad parts. So I am 5'10", just a little bit about me. I got a lot of questions about my height, so I just want to make sure everyone knew that I'm 5'10". I'm a hopeless romantic, and I'm a 5-kid expert kid maker. If anybody needs tips, I've nailed that down, no pun intended. And I lost my homecoming 69-0, and I was the quarterback, so it's pretty much mostly my fault entirely. And that's 100% true. The other team was fumbling the ball on purpose in the second half because they felt so bad for us. True story. Been married 16 years, and I need a ladder because my wife is she's so freaking amazing. I can't say I get emotional. She's amazing. And if you are a married entrepreneur, by the way, how hard is that, right? How hard is that? There's not a lot of spouses here. If you're not the entrepreneur, but you're the entrepreneur's spouse, can you raise your hand? Is there anybody here? Look at, there are a lot of people, they're not here, but I know your pain. My wife knows your pain. And the whole, you're never home. What are you doing? You're never here. Don't you know everything I do is for this family? Right? Yeah. So this is how I started. It was a 93 Chevy Cavalier. I called it my work truck. And there's a 28-foot ladder strapped to the roof of the car. There was no ladder rack. I just strapped it to the roof of the car. And there's actually a 16-foot extension ladder inside it because the back seat would fold down and go all the way to the trunk. And when I would go do estimates, I would hide my car and then go do the estimate over here because ain't nobody going to want to hire me with pulling up in this thing, right? The funny part was they would hire me because I could talk, and I'd be like, hi, Mrs. Jones, absolutely. We have the best quality in all of the region. We're going to do it. And they'd hire me, but when I came back to do the job, of course, I did have to roll up in this thing. So then they were confused. The thing that the thing that changed for me was when I had just a basic understand of the power of systems. Now, if you're an owner-operator, if you have a lot of stress and pain in your life right now, it's hard to even almost care about systems or what does that mean? It's an abstract idea. This is a popular book called The E-Myth. Anybody familiar with The E-Myth, right? Michael Gerber. I've had the pleasure of talking on the phone with Michael Gerber. And he's a great guy. He's changed a lot of lives, right? So the E stands for the entrepreneurial myth, why small businesses don't work and what to do about it. And what you have to understand is that a large automated business like I built, like DJ has built, all it is really is a set of systems stacked on top of each other and a set of relationships stacked on top of each other. The problem is that when we're owner-operators or when we're in survival mode, we don't know what to do, right? So my company ended up doing, the month I sold it did $186,000 that month. It was in Michigan. It was seasonal, so in the winter we didn't really do a lot. But the claim to fame that I had was that I worked less than 5 hours a week. DJ is the hustle, punch you in the mouth, go sell stuff guy. I'm the, how do I figure out how to make a whole bunch of money and not have to do stuff guy, That was my thing, right? And you can do that with a lawn mowing business, believe it or not, or a pressure washing business, or a fill in the blank, because all home service companies have the same architecture, the same guts. They more or less are the same. They just have a different deliverable, right? I sold it, moved to Costa Rica. This was the backyard where we lived there a year and a half. Yo hablo un poquito español, ¿no? ¿Otros? ¿No otros? Ah, sí, muy bien. Para un gringo no es malo. Okay, sorry, I said for a gringo it's not that bad. I studied for 18 months. I ran over a monkey and killed it in this very bus. True story, a big giant freaking monkey. I'm ripping down the road at 55 miles an hour. It basically killed itself on my bus. And I feel horrible about it, but it was just the weirdest thing, and I want people to know that weird thing happened to me. That's my podcast. It's a quick talk podcast. There's over 300 episodes of me teaching you how to systemize and grow your business 100% for free. I've done this for years. It has over 500,000 downloads, and it's been one of the coolest things ever. And then I did start a software company called Send Jim. It's a marketing thing. I'm actually not going to focus on that here today because I think it'd be more valuable. We moved back to Michigan. And we bought a farm with this castle house, so we call it a facile. It's the facile. And this is where I live with my 5 kids right now. And we have another person from Ludington here, right? So we love it. And the last things about me is that I'm scared of spiders a lot. My life goal is to give away $100 million. That's the foundational reason I do every single thing I do is I want to give all of it away. I want to measure it, and I want to inspire other people to be radically generous. And I'm in the early stages of that, so don't think I'm way cooler than I am. But that's about me, right? So let's talk about this. Does anybody seen this document that we recently put out? It's called the 5 Stages of Business Growth. Anybody at all? Okay, I'll give this to you for free. It's a 31-page document, and this is going to be profound for you, okay? I built this with my friend Brandon Vaughn. Brandon Vaughn, find him on Facebook. His business does $500,000 a month, soft washing and doing window cleaning and stuff. And he's in his 6th season, okay? Yeah, System Saturday. He's a very close friend of mine. He took over a business that did $100,000 a year, and 6 years later, it does millions and millions and millions, $500,000 a month during the busy season. Now, I totally know that breaks your brain if you don't have $300 in your checking account. I get it. Don't miss what I'm saying, though, okay? He didn't get daddy's money. He didn't get some sort of secret thing. What he did is he used systems. Really good, better than I did by a lot. His business was bigger than mine, and he grew it faster than mine. But the way we did it's the same. Because there's already a path. So I want to briefly explain the 5 stages of business. So stage 1 business owners are the people that primarily work in the field. You're in the truck or you're in the field. You're mowing the lawn, edging the driveway, building the deck, doing the renovation, whatever, fill in the blank. If 50% or more of your time is spent doing the thing, raise your hand. That means you're stage 1, right? That's awesome. And most people are stage 1 or 2. A lot less of them get to stage 3, a lot less of them get to stage 4 and 5. Not because they're not smart, it's not because their market sucks, although that's what they tell themselves, it's because they don't understand the right systems in the right order to build the systems. This workbook is going to give that to you, okay? And stage 2 is when you're primarily in an admin position. So admin means you're on your phone. I remember for me, I would be in my truck, my crew is right there, I have sticky notes freaking everywhere, and clipboards, and people are calling, and I take the call to do an estimate, and I go and I climb up the ladder, and and as soon as you get to the top of the ladder, the phone rings. You go all the way back down, go back to your car, more sticky notes, right? And then my employees are mad that they get out at 5:30 instead of 5, and I'm there till 11 p.m., right? Fulfilling on the sticky note estimates. That's a stage 2. That's what it feels like to be in stage 2. Is there anybody in stage 2? Stage 2. Okay. Stage 3 is when you become primarily obsessed and focused just on sales. Now I want to take a step back because you're wearing all the hats in all 3 of these first ones. I mean, you're changing your own brake pads. You're doing it all. You're the customer service department. You're doing the CRM. You're the accountant. You go to the bank. You do payroll. You're hiring. You're firing. You're hyperventilating. You're doing everything, right? And so you can be in stage 2 or 3, but still have to go in the field because your millennial employee totally burned someone's house down or something. Hopefully not literally, but you're moving around. That's why I say if your work week on average is mostly you figuring out how do I generate an extra $8,000 in revenue in the next 10 days? And if that's where your head's at and you're implementing strategies and learning, you're stage 3. Now, the qualifiers, if you're going to be in stage 3 where you're just the sales guy and you're thinking in that mode, that means you have at least a couple of full, competent, trained professional crews on the road doing the work without you, and you have a full-time office person doing the sticky note thing. Hopefully, maybe in an office at this point, right? Who here has an actual office outside of their home? Okay, that's great. What did it do for you psychologically when you finally could do that?
Oh, glorious, amazing.
It's huge. Everything that we're talking about here, all the success, it's all in our heads. It's all based in belief. I hate woo-woo stuff. I really don't. And a lot of times Keith is all like super like what's the word where you're like, all about your soul and the brain and the energy. I'm not really like that, okay? Not that that's bad, because it's amazing to watch Keith. But what I'm saying is, when I tell you that this room is full of people with self-limiting beliefs and I'm one of them, it's 100% true. It's 100% true. It's like 2 + 2 = 4. Whatever you think you can do, that's it. If you don't think you can do this, you're done before you started. And I want to tell you a story. When I had that crappy car, my original goal was to make $500 a week. And I went online and discovered this forum, right, where all these internet keyboard warriors go and argue with each other. I go on there, and some dude posts that he had a $30,000 month cleaning windows. I wasn't exposed to any of this before. I got so mad because I thought this guy was lying. So I went through these I call it the 5 stages of like belief, where first you're super like ticked off and you're like, you liar, you didn't do that, you liar, that's impossible, right? Because again, this is $500 a week was stressing me out. I was stressed out trying to figure out, how do I get 4 customers to pay me $125 each and blah, 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 and then I don't have to deliver pizza and then we will do it, right? And I'm talking to my wife and she's like, calm down. Well, what happened was when I saw that, I got mad. Well, then I read the comments below it, and I'm like, other people are like, oh, that's great. I remember the first time I had my first $30,000 month, and I'm like, whoa, what? Other people did it? So upon further investigation, I realized this is a thing. It's no big deal. Like, it's a thing. A lot of people, way dumber than you, already have whatever it is that you want. Remember that, okay? Right? That's right. So I was angry at first, then I made excuses. I've already had a lot of conversations with you guys, meeting some of you that know who I am or listen to my podcast, which is amazing. And sometimes we think there's some reason that we can't have the $30,000 month or whatever. Well, the employees in my area don't. It's totally different. Or the houses here, everything's totally different. I am a completely unique snowflake of a situation over here. You could never understand, Josh. And I did that too. But almost always it's not true, or it's not even close to as true as you think it is, right? Are you feeling me a little bit? Is there a little love happening? Okay, stage 4 is when you're the general manager. That means you're got to be doing, you're maybe 600,000 to 900,000 in revenue. You have a sales manager or a team of salespeople. You have your admin team. You have your full-time office manager. They have an assistant. They're calling customers. They're doing systems. You got your trucks, your crews. Your vehicles are getting maintained, but you're not physically doing it. You're overseeing all the leadership. And that's, is there anybody at that stage here? Yeah? Good for you. And then stage 5, I call it the business owner. You still have to pay attention, but you can go do stuff. And then when you come back, your business didn't die. It was still healthy, right? So for the last 2 years I had my company, it grew at 35% a year. I worked less than 5 hours a week in it. Sometimes I worked 10, but then I wouldn't work at all for 2 or 3 weeks. But it's because of the team and the systems, okay? Does that make sense? You guys can have this. It's free, but I couldn't print it out. It'd be way too much, right? It's 31 pages. So this will email it to you if you text huge list to that number. I'll wait just a second so you can take a picture of the screen if you don't want to do it right now, because you want this, okay? Don't not do this. But I need to keep moving on the presentation. Just need more time? Good? What's that? Does it have to be all caps? I don't know, so I know for a fact it works with all caps, so yes, it has to be all caps. Just to be safe. All right. Here's a question I want to engage with you guys. What is the foundational cornerstone of any successful business on the planet? Say some answers. Just say stuff. Systems? Customer service? Oh, wait. You've heard this story before, right? It's sales and marketing, right? And sales and marketing is part of a system, right? Here's the deal. What I want to help you guys understand in the short time I have with you is how to create what I call a lever. On your paper, draw a lever. Draw a little ugly, weird lever. This is what a system is, okay? Imagine that this lever is sitting on top of a box, and you put $1 in the top of the box. And then when you pull the lever, $10 falls out the bottom of the box. Who would want that box? Who would want that box, right? Doesn't solve all the world's problems, but that's a pretty freaking cool box. That's what a system is. That's what I mean when I say lever. Now, follow-up question is, how do you create a lever, right? The answer, you build a system. But here's what we do. We do really complex, super 72 bullet-pointed systems that are super insanely impossible to be consistent with and execute, when really we need simple, little, itty-bitty, tiny things, and you can make $1 million. I promise you, you can all go make $1 million business using 4x6 postcards that you pass out by hand. For sure. And it always works, okay? Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication, Leonardo da Vinci. So as I talk with small business owners, you guys are getting so much info plowed into your brain, and I'm contributing to that right now, okay? So how do you figure out what system to even build and what thing to even fix, right? You got the employee stuff, you got, do I buy the next piece of equipment? Because we all think equipment's sexy. If you're an owner-operator, you just like go out at night and like pet your hot water pressure cleaner, right? I never cared about that stuff at all. And so I always felt really weird and uncomfortable at like trade shows because everybody's like, oh yeah, you got that 8 gallon a minute. You got that, the PSI and the thing is really good. The O-rings are real nice O-rings with the gasket revolver. And I didn't care about any of it because all I wanted to do was build a business that would pay me a really nice income, and I didn't have to touch it. I don't want to have to do stuff all the time. That was my dream. And to build that, you can't get hung up in the minutia of every little possible thing or it just won't work, right? So here, I'm going to make it so simple. My goal is to if this was construction paper, I would have got a crayon and taught with a crayon to make the point. You need to simplify. You need to learn to do less, not more. You need to focus in tunnel vision on the basic, simple stuff that always works instead of trying to do 1,600 super advanced tactics or whatever, right? And once your business is big, if you want to nerd out and do super advanced tactics, do it. That's great. First one is hyper-targeting. Okay. Everybody is not your customer, okay? Everybody's not your customer. I'm going to tell you a story about a day I learned that not everybody is your customer. I was an owner-operator. I had a $120 window cleaning job. And I don't know if it was a holiday or a vacation, but I know that I was with my family at the lake, and I had to leave in the middle of the afternoon to go do this one job. But I needed the money, and so I go to do the job. Am I good? Okay. I didn't know if I'm running out of time already. It goes fast up here. So I go into this lady's house. It's the most disgusting house on earth. Her carpet was supposed to be white, and there's dog hair all through the floor. And when I walk in, I was horrified. I was like, oh. And then she looks at me and she goes, take your shoes off. And I always take my shoes off, but not right now. I didn't want to take my shoes off. So I take my shoes off, and I'm like, screw it. I'm just going to throw my socks away because they were literally covered in black dog hair. I'm walking through. This lady was about 4'8", shaped like a bowling ball, kind of mean, and smelled funny, and her house was disgusting. I'm just saying facts. I ain't judging. This is like data, okay? So I'm going through to clean in her house. I go upstairs, and I see her 40-year-old adult son sleeping. It's like 2 p.m. He's sleeping. There's like 6 cereal bowls on the floor. It stinks. He's a grown-ass man. I'm confused. I'm like, okay, I'll do that window later. So I go into the bathroom upstairs. When I go into the bathroom upstairs, sweet baby Jesus, to this day I hope that what I saw was mud. But it was smeared all across the linoleum, up on the bottom of the porcelain in a towel, and like the towel and like this mud all there. So I'm like, I'll do that window later, right? Then I go downstairs and I'm cleaning. I just want to get out of this place. I just want to run. I'm thinking, what did you do? You should have went to college, you idiot. You're stupid. This is embarrassing, right? And so I'm cleaning windows in this lady's kitchen, which is and I promise you, this is 100% not embellished at all. I'm not even explaining enough, okay? I'm cleaning the windows. Her kitchen table is piled up with plate with like a T-bone steak that had been eaten with a little blood on it that's like a week old, stacked on top of chicken wings, stacked on top of pizza crust, stacked on top. And I look over, and she's pooping with the door open. Okay, this is true. She's pooping with the freaking... So back to my point. I realized that day, not all customers are created equal, right? I had not done a proper job of hyper-targeting, right? I was the guy that was the race to the bottom guy, the guy that needs to make $27 to pay my consumer bill, which is the electric company here, or else I'm screwed, it gets shut off again. And so I was so transactional, and I was so scared that I would take any job from anybody. I was the guy that they'd say, you ever give someone a quote, and you're like, yeah, excuse me, Mr. Jones, it's $249. And that does include our guarantee, and then he cuts you off. He's like, I'll give you $150, right? You ever have that guy? Screw that guy. That guy's not your customer, right? But when you don't have confidence, when you don't have family members that have been really successful, when you didn't grow up around nothing, I was living in a trailer park driving with that car around trying to figure stuff out, right? I didn't have a lot of like extra juice in the tank for confidence. You kind of do it. You're like, okay, sir, right? It's embarrassing. You guys are professional. So I'm hoping, let me go back. Hyper-targeting, okay? The point I'm trying to make is that in your marketing, in your literature, in the way that you look, the way that you smell, the way that you dress, the way that you answer your phone, the inflection in your voice, the way that you do the work and you do the right thing even though no one's looking, the way that you have integrity, the way that after the job's done, he unfairly says you got to fix something and you do it with a smile. And then the way that you follow up with that customer for the next 10 years, that is how you make millions of dollars, okay? But you do it to the people that are the right people that you hyper-targeted, right? You feeling my passion? Yep. You feeling my passion? All right, you're all just staring at me like this. It's freaking me out. Okay, personalization. This is the other thing. What is the favorite word on planet Earth for every single human? Their own name. At least I read that on the internet and it sounded really good, so I put it in my presentation here. But I think it's true. I think we all care a lot about ourselves, like a lot. Even people that are humble and care about others care a lot. I care a lot about myself, If I don't want to do something, I can like totally strategize to get out of it. A lot of the choices we make throughout the day are in an effort to serve ourselves, right? So when it comes to marketing, DJ had some really cool stuff and some ideas. What? Can't hear me? Okay. Are we good? Can you guys hear me okay? Okay, we're good. Okay. You want to personalize your marketing, whether it's a door hanger, a yard sign, whatever. You want to make it about them. That's my point, okay? Very simple stuff. This is crayon with construction paper stuff. You make it about them. For example, anybody here ever use yard signs? Right? Very popular, right? Everybody does it wrong, okay? You put your giant logo on it that no one cares about except you and your mom, who's really proud of you, and that's great. And then you put and then you put 7 things. Window cleaning, pressure cleaning, lawn care, dog sitting, babysitting, pooper scooper service. You put it in the yard sign and then you hope and pray and no one calls and you say, you know what? This market, economy sucks. It's like, no, you suck, man. And you don't suck because you're a bad person. It's because you don't know. You didn't learn yet, right? So a yard sign should say, lawn care with huge letters and a phone number. There should be nothing else on it. This is a phone call generator. Okay, there we go. Keith was right. I'm so sorry. All your marketing is a phone call generator, okay? It's not there. You don't do marketing to get validated that you're good enough and strong enough. You're trying to get the hyper-targeted person to engage with you and call you. That's it. When you do postcards, it's not a quote. It's not a sales process. It's a phone call generator. That's what it is, right? When you do postcards, we used to print pictures of the people's actual house on the front of the postcard and mail it to them with a price on the back. Do you think those got good response rates? Right? Or even if they weren't good, did you think they did a lot better than what everybody else does? Why? Because I didn't make it about me. We didn't even put our logo on most of our postcards. We did some, but if I could go back in time, it means nothing. You're not Coca-Cola, okay? Branding is important, but most of you are ones and twos, and most of you need to hit $150,000 next year and pay off the credit card debt and have enough money in the bank that you can stay home so your wife doesn't leave you. That would be a win, okay? Let's do that first. And we do that through basics, through blocking and tackling, throwing and catching, simplifying, right? The last principle here is multi-touch. You have to be in front of people over and over and over and over and over and over and over, like a broken record that's a relentless, nonstop thing. But here's what people actually do. Because, again, self-limiting beliefs. This is what I did. I'd take my 50 flyers. I went to Kinko's. It's like 80 cents a flyer. I don't know. I didn't have 30 bucks for flyers. I'd pass them out. And then I'd go home and be like, oh man, I hope they call. I got to get my $500 this week. And then no one would call, or maybe they would. But either way, it was just a complete dumpster fire because I was not being consistent. I wasn't playing the long game. I was being transactional, trying to get money to serve me, instead of saying, who are the people I want to serve? How can I create a message that's about them and have some fun with it? And how can I just scream that message to them over and over, forever and always, right? Here's one simple idea. One simple solution. What? Come on, Keith. One simple solution would be neighbor marketing, okay? You can do this. You don't have to do it. If you want to make $1 million, if you do what I say right now and you're consistent, you can make $1 million, okay? My gift to you. You target the neighbors of your current customers. Who here has at least one customer? All right. So some people are just starting out. Why do we want to target the neighbors of our current customers? Well, it's because they have similar demographics like age, kids, income, passive income, home value, stuff like that, their family scenario, and then bandwagon psychology as well, right? The results in neighbor marketing, when you market to the neighbors around the people that already gave you money, is you get higher close rates, you get less price objections, because people see you coming in and out of the neighborhood all the time, right? And you get social proof and you create momentum. So let me back up and explain what I mean, okay? You do a job, then you leave the job, and then you hope and pray that someone calls you so you get another job. All I'm saying that you need to do is we need to market to the neighbors of this job with hyper-targeted, personalized, multi-touch marketing. It could be a door hanger, it could be a postcard. Our software automates this. That's what it does. But what you want to do is you want to get in front of them and say, hey, you're our kind of person, and we just did work for your neighbor, and you would love our service. Give us a call. And then it hits them again, and hits them again, and hits them again. This is simple stuff, right? Do you guys agree that we feel bad if we can have a lot of success with something that's simple? It's almost like it has to be so hard or else we're not worthy or something. Like we have to punish ourselves, right? Do you feeling what I'm saying? Like, I'm not allowed to have a YouTube channel of 50,000 people unless I'm really stressed out because that's what someone that would have that would feel like, right? No, like you can actually have millions of dollars, actually be a good dad. You can actually love your family and your community. You can be a normal dude. I didn't know any of that back in the day. I thought money was dirty. I thought it was evil. And my parents were the people that always said, money doesn't grow on trees, right? Now, I know that they're wrong. It does actually grow on trees. It's called apples, and then you sell them for a profit. That's how it works. Okay, so we're going to talk about how to turn this neighbor marketing strategy, this is just one nugget, into an actual system, into a lever, okay? First of all systems are based on principles, strategies, and tactics, okay? A principle is like the foundation to your house, right? A principle is like you have integrity. You're not a thief. You're not a lying piece of garbage. You're a good human that likes other humans. That's a principle. If you violate that principle and start a business, it'll be really hard for you to have a good business, right? Can you agree? It still happens, unfortunately, but it's still a principle. Now, strategies are totally different than that. The strategy is akin to like the blueprint or the design of the house, not the foundation, but like where do we want the bathroom to go? Do we want the slider door on the back or do we want the other, right? And when you're looking at your business, you got the principles of your personal integrity, who you are, the fact that you put others first, the fact that you really care about people. Okay, got that. That's great raw material. Now we need some strategy. Like, what services am I going to offer? Should I actually have that fourth service, that laundry room? Let's not do that now. I don't need that now. This is you strategically looking at your life. How can you build a business that serves you? You guys realize your business is supposed to be a slave to you, right? That's the idea. But when that phone rings and you go, yeah, hello, thank you for calling, blah, blah, blah. I think you're the slave to the business, right? And I'm still the slave to my Send Gym business, by the way, because you have to be for a while, right? I'm not a magical unicorn. You got to put in the work. You got to chop the wood. But you don't want to stay there forever, right? Amen. Give me an amen if you don't want to stay there forever. Amen. Say, what? Okay. Tactics is the least important piece. I talked about principles. I talked about strategies. This is where everybody lives. This is where you do shop talk. Hey, did you try that new pressure cleaning pump swinger diaphragm? It's pretty good. It speeds up your cleaning 10%. You're like, 10%? That's great. Who gives a crap? Like, what you're doing is you don't even have a house. You don't have a foundation. You have nothing. And you're talking about what color you're going to paint the walls and what picture to hang over here. And so we're doing it backwards. It's backwards. It's upside down. The fundamental stuff is where all the real power is, the truth, the other people, the foundational stuff. And then the strategy, having a vision, reverse engineering it. Tactics are easy. Handing out door hangers is a tactic. Yard signs are a tactic. There's lots and lots of marketing tactics, right? Here's step one. Actually be an amazing freaking company. I'm kind of a big deal. People know me from Anchorman. I thought that was pretty funny. You guys can chuckle a little if you want. But here's the thing. We're so consumed with making money that we stop and forget to actually zoom out and look at our own self and say, am I actually that good at this, right? We think we're good. Let me ask you a question. If I were to privately survey you and said, how does your company rate on a scale of 1 to 10? In terms of like how amazing you are, how great, the quality of the work you do, all that stuff, responsiveness, you guys would give yourself a certain rating, right? And then if I asked you to rate your competitors, you'd give them like a worse rating, right? And the lesson here is that we're not self-aware at all. We think we're awesome when we're not, or we think we suck when we actually are awesome. And you're one of those two, probably. It's unlikely that you have an actual clear picture of how your customers perceive your business for real, right? Does it make sense? That's too deep. Okay, so there's the way that we think we're awesome. Well, you're a good person, but you might drop the ball on something. You might not answer the phone until the next day. You might do things that you don't think matter, but your market does, right? You have to actually have a good company. You have to actually have the principle of being awesome. Step 2 is to visualize your current customer data. I'm going to give you a ninja trick here. Write down geocoding. Geocoding. There's some websites. Derek, is it Geocodio or where you can drop the pins of your customers? I forgot to put the URL. Just Google geocoding service. What you can do is you can upload your customer list, and it will give you a map kind of like this. And what you're going to see on the map, this is really cool. You're going to see these little like pockets and clusters is what I call them. You're going to notice that this one golf course community over here, you got some momentum and you got like 7 homes in that one gated thing. And then over here, you're going to notice, I have a lot of customers here, but I hate this place because everyone complains that it's terrible. And then, but you're going to notice over here, this is where all my big high ticket stuff is. And so what you want to do, and this has to do with strategy, is you want to be strategic and you want to visualize where we're going to hyper-target these people. Okay, where are we going to do the neighbor marketing, the neighborhood domination? You need to visually see it. At least I need to visually see it. It's amazing. And so you find the pockets and clusters, and then step 3 is you need to understand your revenue curve and your numbers. And I'm going to get a little bit nerdy towards the end of the presentation, but it's pretty simple stuff. So check this out. All of us have a natural buying cycle for the stuff that we sell. Yes? Say yes? Okay. And so there's sometimes when we're so busy we can't even control it. Like we're making money, it's awesome, you're super busy, and then it falls off a cliff, right? Anybody fell off the revenue cliff, right? I don't know, even August in Michigan is tough sometimes, right? So the problem though, okay, if you don't map out what the reality is for you, and the way you do that, by the way, you can actually use a tool called Revenue Buddy. It's free. And you put in like your monthly sales for each month for last year, put it in for this year, put it in for as many previous years as possible, and it will show you your revenue curve. Now, what do you do with this data? This is being strategic, remember? Remember I said nobody focuses on principles or strategies, they focus on tactics. I'm not even to the tactics yet because tactics don't even matter if you don't do this. This is the stuff people don't do. This is the stuff that DJ Carroll definitely does, okay? He might do it different, but he's figuring out where his customers are at and how he's gonna get a multi-touch personalized message in front of them, right? And so is every other successful company. Okay, so what you're gonna have here is you're gonna have your goal. Like I wanna make 300,000 in revenue this year. And then you're gonna have your base, that's the orange line. And what your base is how much money your company's gonna make if you just do nothing different than you're doing today. Like no extra effort, just people that know, like, and trust you, they're gonna call you, right? So if you did 100 grand last year and you just kind of coasted into this year, your base is probably 70, 80, 90, maybe 100 grand, right? Like you got that. Does that make sense? Okay, if it doesn't, yell at me. If you don't ask a question and don't get value, I want to help you, okay? And I'm gonna have to go quick here. So you got your goal, your base, this part right here. Anyone know what this is called? The in-between? It's called the gap. Did someone say gap? Okay, gap. It's called the gap. Your job to get what you want with your business is to be obsessed with your numbers and to always know your gap, okay? That's the thing you're attacking. That's the thing, you're trying to close the gap. Right? So if you know in the month of June, oh, we do really good in June. Our goal, we got to do, $50,000 in June or whatever. And we know that we're probably going to do 40. And we know that going in because it's based on real numbers. We have a gap of 10. And so now it's not even June. I'm doing this back in January, but I'm going, I got to close the gap in June. I got to find $10,000 worth of customers, brand new shiny customers. Where are they at? I got to go get them, right? So I'm going to do some math with you guys, and maybe I'll try to use the whiteboard thing because I want you to get some basic numbers that are going to change your life if you get it, okay? Can I tear this? I guess I'll just flip it. Okay, so we have our goal. Your goal is like your revenue mountaintop. Okay, that's my little mountaintop. And then you have your base. This is where you're gonna be on the mountain without any extra effort. Okay, this is your base. I'm probably not drawing big enough, am I? Okay, so your base is right here. Okay, and then you have a gap. The gap is the difference between what you're going to do without trying and where you really need to be on pace to grow the business, to get it to the point where it needs to be, to make you the money you want so you can buy the jet skis that you want, right? Okay, we're all into jet skis. So this is the gap right here. Okay? And then we have other metrics that you need to measure, like your average ticket. Okay, so how's this all going to tie together? If your average job is $500 and you have a gap in the month of June of $5,000, how many new customers do I have to get in June? 10. Okay, if my goal is to make $20,000 in the month of June, I know that I'm going to be able to make 15, but I want to push and get that extra 5 using marketing techniques. I have a gap of 5,000. My average ticket's 500. I need 10 extra customers, okay? The reason this is powerful is it takes away the stress. Everybody's like, I just want to grow. I say, what do you want? I just want to do a really good job and have a good business. That's not a thing. I can't measure that. Listen, write this down. Math is the path. Math is the path. The free market economy is really cool because it doesn't really care about anything other than, are you meeting a need? Are you making a good offer? Are you marketing by using marketing principles? Are you going to make it'll work. It'll always work. It's like irregardless of you. We're our own bottleneck. Anybody here admit that you're your own biggest problem in your business, right? Okay. It's not the millennials, even though those are hard. Those are tough. Okay, so you want to measure things like your average ticket, and then you're going to measure your CAC. Who knows what a CAC is? Customer acquisition cost. It's a customer acquisition cost, okay? If your average customer is $500, right? How many dollars would you give me right now if I gave you a brand new shiny customer that's worth $500? We need to figure that out. We figure it out. The way that you figure it out is really simple. I'm going to teach you. And mythical unicorns will grow your business. Here's what we do. If your average job is $500, I need you guys, when you go home, to do a really simple math problem. We're going to figure out what your average margin is, your profit. Okay? I'm just going to use simple numbers. Let's pretend your profit after paying your fuel and your labor and your whatever and your insurance, let's say it's 20%. It's a lot higher for stage 1 and 2 businesses, but let's say it's 20%, okay? So we're going to multiply this by 0.2, which equals 100, right? You following me? So what this means is for every brand new shiny customer that you get, the business gets to keep $100, right? You following me so far? Okay, so this is what I call a max CAC, maximum customer acquisition cost. So I'm going to go back and ask you the same question. I'm going to give you a brand new shiny $500 customer. How many dollars will you give me? Up to $100. The right answer is as few as possible, right? But if you did pay the whole 100, it's still okay because you're a home service company. You're going to have this customer for the next 8 to 10 years and get referrals and upsell them and cross-sell them and become their best friend, and then their kid will end up marrying your kid. It's going to be amazing. So this isn't actually even worth $500. This is worth $4,000 to $5,000 per government statistics on lifetime value of customers. So every customer you have is actually worth 8 to 10 times the initial transaction amount. Okay, so are you excited to give me $100 to have that asset on the books, right? But we're so freaked out to market that we don't do it. We don't spend the money because we don't know what to do. And then when we have a little money, we buy a yard sign with our logo on it. This is the path. Math is the path, right? Be a person of integrity and have character. Figure out where you want to market and where they are and where the neighbors and the same. Do the strategy stuff. And then when we get to tactics, it's easy because we know what we can use to play ball with, right? Yeah, so that's good. Is that good? Okay. So you begin at the end and you reverse engineer, right? Stephen Covey, famous book, 7 Habits of Highly Successful People, is begin with the end in mind. Almost no one does that. I ask people all the time, I say, what do you want? What's your deal? What are we trying to do here? Why are you in business? They go, well, I want to get to 8 trucks. Listen, you're not in business to get to 8 trucks. You're in business to make $220,000 in personal income while working 20 hours a week so you can be the T-ball coach, and you think in your head that the way that you get that is to have 8 trucks. Now we're getting somewhere, right? If you can't measure it, it won't improve. There's another nugget. Whatever is measured will improve, period. Whatever is measured will improve. If you don't measure it, you don't even know if you're winning, right? Okay, so here's what $100 really looks like to a business. It looks, and this is not an accurate representation of actual accounting norms, okay? So don't even worry about that. But you think you made $100, and this was actually referenced earlier when you were talking. And the first 20 goes to labor, the next 20 goes to labor. You got vehicles and insurance and utilities and all kinds of stuff, and then you have profit. You got $20, right? So here's the question: would you give me $20 today? If I gave you $20 today, that's a weird question. You don't have to answer it. The follow-up question is, would you give me $20 today if I told you I'd give you $20 every year? That's a pretty good deal. That's what getting a new customer actually is, right? How are you not obsessed with sales and marketing? You know how easy it is to turn down chicken wing poop with the door open lady when I got 17 calls an hour coming in? Sales and marketing gives you flexibility. It gives you options. You need to make decisions as if you have $1 million in the bank, even if you don't right now. That's how you start thinking different. Be a CEO. But we get paralyzed and we start panicking, and then we do really stupid stuff. And it's really sad because you're fully capable of having the thing that you want. And I said it earlier, a lot of people dumber than you already have what you want. So really, whether you use postcards or door hangers or you knock doors or you're doing cold calls or you're doing commercial, I don't care what it is. That's tactics. Make it a lever, because the lever becomes an ATM machine. Now, money is not everything. Duh. But Zig Ziglar said it's really similar to air. You kind of need it. We don't live life so that we can breathe air. But it's really hard to live if you don't have air, right? And my friend Alex Sharfin said that anyone who says that money doesn't buy happiness hasn't given enough away. Woo! Right? Thank you. That's it. We can do a Q&A.
Got 20 minutes of Q&A. Where's that mic at? Sorry, it's got the... Check, check, check. All right, here you go, Anthony.
Does anybody have any questions about anything? Go ahead, Darren. And we can also talk about employees because I have some things we can talk. Yeah, go ahead.
I'd like to know more about different systems that you have to make your business, to help grow it and have it into a good system. I know you have the automated gross sale site and the super marketing.
You want to
course.
know about what systems I use in my business or about what products I have?
Both.
Okay. Well, here's a good place to start. Write down the customer life cycle. You can all create this for yourself. I'm big on visual. Just ideas are hard for me. When I can see it, it means something to me. So here's how it works with the customer life cycle. There's a point in time when your $500 customer doesn't know you exist. And they don't care that they don't know that you exist, right? They're just unaware of you, right? So that's before they engage with your company. As soon as they engage with you, this is the first touch of the customer life cycle. Keith, come help me with my mic. It's falling off, please. When they first engage with you, that's a touch, okay? Now, what does engage mean? It means they walk up to your truck because they see it and they're the neighbor. That's a touch. They email your company because they see it on the website. That's a touch. They call your phone number because their grandma said, oh, you should call Billy. He's a nice boy. And they call you. That's a touch. However that happens, their first contact with you is a touch. Technically, the first time they land on your website before they even talk to a human is a touch, technically. So all I'm trying to get you to see is that this is a thing. After they engage with you, stuff starts to happen, right? So there's probably going to be like a call or something. They're going to request an estimate, okay? For example. Okay, this right here, this is a thing. You could spend 2 hours figuring out how do I blow someone's mind during this thing, okay? And then after they call, then you do the bid, okay? Then you do the bid. This is a thing. And I'm going to tie this together and it's going to make sense, okay? After the bid, you actually sell, and then you service the job, and then you follow up or something, right? Follow up. Okay. What happens is this has everything to do with strategy, by the way. When you're tactical, you go pass out flyers, and then you hope for people to call you, then you do the work, and then you go do that again. When you're strategic, what you do is you go pass out the flyers. That's fine. But you have a plan that's going to trigger this customer life cycle when they engage with you. So when they call you, how do you make yourself noticeably different and better than everybody else? How do you actually be better than the other companies that do what you do? Well, you do that by doing really cheap, inexpensive things to add what is called perceived value, okay? And this is the reason I answered, you said what systems? This is the most important foundational system you could possibly have, probably. Okay? When they answer the phone, hey, thank you so much for calling ABC Service Company. We're having an awesome day. I really hope you are. My name is Josh, and my job is to over-deliver on your expectations. What can I do for you? I just made that up right now. If you actually think of stuff that fits your personality type, that's authentic to you, it's got to be a thing. You write it down, get it out of your brain. Because here's the other thing about systems that people get confused with. Actually, everyone in this room already has a fully systemized business. Ooh. The question is it working? Okay? Get it out of your head. Get it onto paper and do it every day relentlessly. You have to pretend that you're your own first employee. When you answer the phone, you better answer the phone exactly the way that you expect the future employee to answer the phone. Right? Because they're going to do exactly what you do, except a little bit less. Right? They do so your bar has to be so high that 4 layers deep, the little bit less of the little bit less of the little bit less, is still this much better than your competition. You feeling me? Okay. Then they do the estimate. What's your estimate process like? How do you overcome objections or give them information? How do you make it better? Is it faster? You say, oh, awesome. Well, luckily for you, you called the best company. We guarantee, 24-hour estimates. And we're going to not just give you an estimate, we're going to give you a solution. Language matters. Like DJ said, he doesn't give estimates, he gives solutions. All that stuff, that's perceived value. You're plowing it on. Super over-the-top friendly. Massively cool estimate process. No cheesy car salesman stuff. Just totally telling them, you know what, Ms. Jones, you really don't need this service right now. I think probably next summer you might, but really don't worry about that. In fact, what we need to focus on is this mildew over here. But bam, crush this. Document it. Stand for something. Document it. Then when you sell, how do you sell? Every single person in this room better start selling packages if you want more free money. If you hate money, don't sell packages. If you want more money, sell packages. And then you got the service itself. How does your technicians actually do the work? Do they show up in street clothes and then work really hard and try to get home as fast as they can so they can drink some beers with their bros or something? Or do they come uniform, scripted with an iPad? Or if you ain't got money for an iPad, get like the $12 tablet that doesn't work and just have them pretend like they're doing something on an iPad. But what I'm saying is we had a 3-touch process on the service appointments. They get there and say, hi, Mrs. Jones, my name's Josh. I'm the crew leader today. My assistant is John. He's unloading the truck. Basically, I have 2 jobs to do today. I have is to earn your review and to earn your repeat business, something like that, right? So they have do you have any questions? Are we free to step inside the home? Okay, great. That's touch 1. Then, and I'm still here. This is my system, okay? I'm going fast. But touch 2 is you're halfway through the job. You say, hey, Ms. Jones, I don't want to bother you. We're approximately half done. I don't know if you have any questions. Did you see anything that's weird? Everything's going really good on our end. Do you need anything from me? Oh, okay, great. That's the midpoint touch. And then at the end, you do a walk around. Most people won't do a walk around, but you always offer it. And that way they won't even give you a call back. It's another ninja trick, but they'll still love you. So let's say that you made a mistake and missed a little spot. Visualize this. Hey, Mr. Jones, we're done. Everything turned out amazing, but we are humans, and I want to make sure we didn't miss anything. Can we spend a few minutes and do a walk around? Is that something you want to do? He's going to say, no, Josh, it looks great. It looks great. And we say, oh, thank you so much. We appreciate your business. And then you get paid and stuff, right? Now, an hour later, he walks back there and he sees this little tiny negligible thing that he missed. Is he calling you back? Sucker. Okay. If he does, he's just a big fat jerk. But he's got that relationship. And then your follow-up. You should be following up forever because your customers are worth 8 to 10 times the lifetime. Blah. You know what I'm saying. Your initial transaction is just a transaction. The lifetime value is 8 to 10 times that initial transaction.
Is that 8 to 10 times will still count for install clients?
Install clients?
Yeah, let's say that you're doing a patio, for a new build house.
I have no idea if it still counts for patio. It doesn't sound like it does. It doesn't sound like it does. Yeah, I think that's talking about repeat home services. But the same other principles apply to an install, or if you build, or like roofing, actually. That's like I told, when I first met him, I said, oh, so you have a really high average ticket and then you don't see your customers for 40 more years, right? He's always chasing the carrot. You make a whole bunch of money, but you got to keep getting new ones. It's just a different model. He has a lot bigger customer acquisition costs than everybody else. He can spend tons of money on marketing. Any other questions? No, it's good.
Well, the system that you just explained, do you have that package or where you sell it at all, as in a process? So the process that you just explained to us here.
I do have stuff that you can buy. And I did not want to come on here and do any sales pitch at all. This is a gift to Keith because he's my friend. It's a value add. But if you guys want to know about it, come talk to me throughout the rest of the day or write down this website. You can go to automategrowsell.com. And there's courses. What happened with me is I share a lot of this stuff for free on my podcast and on my Facebook, but it got out of control. I get sometimes 20 or 30 people a day dinging me. Can I ask you a question? Hey, Josh, can I pick your brain? Hey, Josh, can I pick your brain? Now, I love y'all. I just can't even answer them. So when that started happening a few years ago, I built Automate, Grow, Sell. Yes, it's a business. It's a really profitable business. But it's a massive value to you. And it teaches you how to build all the systems and all parts of your company. I give you sample systems, actual documents. You get to have individual calls with me. And you're part of a mastermind community of 300 other business owners that are all part of that boot camp. It's called the Automate, Grow, Sell boot camp. So that's how you would get that. But there's free stuff on the podcast.
Just one last question. Is it morally designed for the service-based industry?
Yeah.
Okay. And I think I know you didn't want to sell anything here, but I think that adds a lot of value to what you
It does.
presented just to mention that.
It's life-changing, man. Look, business owners don't spend money, you invest money. And the best investment any of you can make is on yourself. And you've done that by coming here. It's risky. You don't know if you're going to learn anything here. But guess what? You did. Yeah.
So I said earlier, like, employees, I'm out, because that's like, I'm a terrible manager. That's the worst part of my business, the hardest thing about running a business. My question is, what happens when you build the systems, but then the humans don't follow the systems?
Right. What happens when you build the systems, humans don't do the systems? Yeah, you get mad and you make a really passive-aggressive Facebook post. That's what you do. And then you'll feel better. And no, here's the problem with managing employees, which I don't love managing employees. But what we do is we have an idea. We tell our employees to do something. We say, hey, guys, we've got a new policy. We got to clean out your truck at the end of the day. I've been letting you go. It's getting out of control. We're cleaning them out every day. And they're like, okay, cool. I got it, cool. And you're like, Well, then they do it for a little while, and then they stop doing it, okay? So there's a couple things that have to happen. Number one, any system that you deploy in your business, anything, you have to be, for a while, a relentless, broken record, non-negotiable, no exceptions, no excuses, over and over and over, beat it into their brain forever and ever with predefined consequences. That's how you implement a system. It takes months to properly implement a system, or a whole year. But after you do that, so what will happen the first time they slip, you don't call them out because you're overwhelmed because you're busy doing something else, right? That's the mistake. You call them out, you write them up, you make it a thing, you don't have to be mean. Oh, John, bummer, you didn't clean out your truck. Oh, dang it. Remember, people that don't clean the truck have to work on the weekends? Oh, man. Or whatever. I don't know if that's legal. Anyway.
I have a question.
What?
Were you still going?
Yeah.
Because I have a question.
Okay. Go ahead.
This is for real. I asked you one time on the phone, I said, how do you do all this? And you said blocking and tackling. And can you describe real quick to me and to everybody else, when do you actually block the time? Like, do you say, everybody leave me alone? I'm going to write this system. Like, do you do it in real time? How do you actually block?
When I say blocking and tackling, I'm not actually talking about time blocking. Although blocking out time to work on systems is something all of you should do. And guess what? You're the boss. Just freaking schedule it and make no exceptions to it. You don't change your system that Tuesday's your system day because Mary says, well, if you can't do it Tuesday, then I'm out. Guess what? Bye-bye. That's how I look at it. I always have. Now, if it was some crazy thing, maybe, but in general, you have to craft your own schedule to serve yourself and not let anybody violate it. But when I talk about blocking and tackling earlier, what I mean by that is do the basic stuff. We're trying to design 16-step trick plays when we need to just do a dive off the right guard for 2 inches to score a touchdown, right? And that's what I see when I've had over 1,000 phone calls with businesses exactly like you. And I learn patterns. I hear them, man. My heart breaks for them. Get back to basics. Do systems. If you need help, if you have the money to invest, hire someone to help you. It'll shortcut it. But even if you don't, you can still do it. Just get the info for free online and apply to it. Or apply the information. Anything else? We got one in the back. Okay.
Let me get you a microphone. Here you go. And this will be the last question unless there's one more driving question, but this or one more question.
How do we find out a starting point?
I'm sorry?
How can we find out the starting point to implement the various systems as far as analyzing our business to know where to start?
Well, if you remember that 31-page document that me and Brandon Vaughn built for you, that will be good. Because there's 2 things that have to happen when you're going to actually start moving the needle and change your business. Number 1, you have to define the outcome that you desire. You have to be able to tell me what it is that you want. What are we doing here? That's called your why, your mountaintop. If you want to make $1 million and do this and blah, blah, if you want 6 jet skis, I don't care what it is. There's 2 rules. On the outcome, I need to know, I have to be able to measure it. So it needs to be a number. And it has to have a date, or else I don't know if I'm winning. Now, to get back to your question, now we have to assess the reality of today, right? So based on where you are now, that's what determines what the next step is. And there's a lot of dominoes to knock over in a business, but you only need to do one at a time. The hard part is figuring out which one to do in which order, right? It's one domino. It's one. That's why Elon Musk is the 24 hours in a day. We all have 24 hours a day, and you got these people doing crazy stuff. They're doing hyper-focused one thing at a time. They're chopping. I call it chopping wood. I always tell people, keep chopping wood. Keep chopping wood. Do hard things. You do hard things. When my family has T-shirts my kids wear that says do hard things, I paid a graphic designer to make them and print them and put them on my kids, because that's the path, is you have to do the hard things. And I loved your quote earlier when you said that success, the price of success doesn't change. It's just if you're willing to spend the money for it, right? Spend the effort for it. I don't even know if that answered your question, but it sounded really inspirational, so I'm hoping that went. Okay, we're good. Thank you guys very much.
Joshua Latimer. Yeah. Awesome. Another round of applause for Joshua Latimer.